don't like middle parts. I trimmed my hair. I want it to fall a certain way. I tried to give it a little bit of layers, curls or whatever. And when I do my next braid out, or I'm hoping I achieved something. You're not here for the hair, right? Guess what we're doing today? This is a hint. If you guessed that we're making a dress, you would be correct. And this is not just any dress. So I'm following another Ladybird designer pattern. I'm trying to do this in a like soft and relaxing way. So I'm kind of trying to talk in a gentle tone. I'm gonna cut the pieces out of this fabric right here. Let me just lay it across my shoulder so you can get a good look at it. I got a lot of this. So it was on a deep sale because I got it from Joann prior to. And I've been waiting for something to make out of it. And I think I found the perfect dress. So hopefully everything lines up right. I did have to make some adjustments to the pattern, which I will discuss later. But yeah, this fabric is getting used. And we're gonna make this next. So I hope you stay tuned for the process and of course the reveal. I am planning on talking through this video to explain the process. So I'm trying to do this a little bit more real time than normal. Do you think that it's a good idea? I might speed through some of the sewing and some of the little steps, but I want to take you through everything because I've never done this before where we literally go through the entire project together as I figure things out, because this is definitely a figure things out type of situation. Okay, let's go. Oh, let me show you the fabric real quick, all nice and laid out. So this is like, I feel like, okay, this was in the costume section of Joann, right? It's for like a stage, but I'm gonna wear it in my everyday life because life is a stage. You might as well dress the part. I just put on whatever. You gotta be the main character in your own story. So look at this. If this isn't main character level fabric, I don't know what is. All that iridescentness and that snake skin undertone. And let's see. And this is completely stretchy. Like it's 4-way stretch in all directions. So I've never sewn with stretch fabric before, like fully stretched. So this is gonna be a new thing for me. I'm getting ready to go to the store. I'm probably gonna end up getting like a ballpoint needle is what I've been told I need on a traditional sewing machine. I was also advised through the YouTube Academy that I can also sew this kind of fabric on my serger, on my overlocker, and I wouldn't need the special needle. I don't know. Let's try it out. We're gonna go through this together and I'll probably learn some things along the way. We will see. But hopefully the outcome is good. I went to Hobby Lobby. I got the needle that I was talking about. This is it right here. I'm gonna do a quick haul because I want to show you what else I got. Knit and stretch needles. Jersey and stretch needles have medium ball points. And these first 3, these say jersey, and then 75 and 90 specifically say stretch. Some of the stuff I already opened up the packaging, but I'm gonna show you it anyway. I got this bling wrap because I'm making hats right now. But yeah, I'm gonna probably use that on something. And then I got this little pack. This little 3-pack right here. It came with this little thread ripper and this little ruler. I don't know when I would use this, but I don't have one of these, and it came in the pack, so I figured why not. And what I was really looking for is another pair of snips. And then what I've been lacking is this disappearing ink that can go on fabric. Now I have this. I already replaced it, but I had to replace this rotary cutter. This is a 45mm. This box comes with 2. And then I have this. This is going to be at one of my hats. So I have black felt and this netting. I think I'm going to try to cut all the pieces tonight and then start putting it together maybe tomorrow.
rustle. Add cherry tomato. I like
I don't think I laid out all the pieces when I did the cutting the other day. So this is the back panel, this is the front panel, this is the front sleeve, and this is the back sleeve. And then we have the front piece for the waistband and the back piece for the waistband. So pretty simple. Now, because I'm cutting on stretchy fabric, I don't necessarily have to account for a zipper. I thought I did at first. So Ladybird Designer says to cut the back piece on the fold. Now, if you're going to put a zipper in, you can't cut this on the fold. This would have to be cut in 2 pieces. So I did mark here zipper line right here. So technically I was going to cut 2 pieces. But when I realized this is completely stretchy, like the entire thing is just almost like spandex, but not really, I'm just going to cut it on the fold because I expect that I should be able to squeeze in and out of it without adding a zipper. So we will see how that goes. So I'm going to cut the skirts on the fold. I'm going to do that on the floor. So let me put those to the side. And I did want to point out one other thing. I think I'll talk about it now. What I had to do to modify this a little bit. When I was using the front and back waist pieces, they matched up perfectly with the front and back skirt pieces. But when I laid them out with the bodice pieces, the bodice piece was wider than the waistband piece. I had to add about this much, so about 1 inch and a little bit to the ends of both of these so that it can match with the bodice piece. And then I added 1 inch to the skirt pieces on both sides. So I added that much from where that line is over. And then from where this line is over, added to both pieces, which I think is actually going to be a good thing because this looked like it wasn't going to fit around my body. Even doubling both of these looked like it wasn't going to fit. So now I'm more confident. So let's go with that. Just want to point that out. And I did just wash this earlier today and it looks good. I didn't iron it or anything. I didn't feel like I needed to, so I'm just going to lay the pattern pieces down while they're opened up and then cut this on the fold. I'm going to put a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the whole thing before I cut, and I'm going to mark it with the soap because I feel like that's the safest thing. And I technically should do this on the inside, but I already laid it out and I don't feel like moving it. So I'm going to use my new tool to mark the seam allowance. Okay, that's that. Now, I did mention I'm going to walk through a lot of things, but if it's too repetitive, I'm not going to. So I'm just going to put the pins in, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the front piece, but I'm not going to film that because it's pretty much identical. So I'm going to put the pins in now where the pleats are going to be, and I'm putting it through both layers because when it comes out on the other side, I'm going to have to pin the other side the same way. So again, this is on the fold, so this is just the left side. The right side is folded under, so I'm pinning it through both layers. I'll be able to add pins to both sides based on where the pin is on this side. The pins are in place on the bottom as well as the top, 3 at the top. And then I'm going to just transfer this to the other side. So here it is folded. And I'm just going to mark a little line right there and do it like that. So now I have it marked on this side, and I can slip this pin out from here a little bit and then just push it back in, and then add this one to this side. Same thing here. Go right back in. And it is at a slight slant, so I can't forget about that. Okay, the bottom is all done, pinned on both sides. And then I'll just refer to the pattern if I get confused. It kind of looks like a bat wing. And like I said, I'll do the exact same thing for the front piece. Before I make this cut, I just want to show, this is the front piece. So this part has a little V cut at the neckline. This is where it's going to be folded. It's going to have a seam here because the original dress looks like these pieces are connected. But since I'm cutting it on the fold, I'm not going to have anything to connect. So I'm cutting extra fabric so I can just do like a tuck and just sew a seam right here so it looks like it's two pieces. I just want to show how I added that in. Please don't let me forget to add seam allowance to all the pieces. If you see me about to cut without the seam allowance added, just knock on the screen. Looking good so far. Now I'm going to cut the waistband pieces. Again on the fold and adding seam allowance. So now it's time to set up the pleats. This is the back panel. I'm gonna lay this down like this. I'm gonna bring the pins together and then clip the pleats. I'm gonna put these pins together like this. That's gonna be the pleat, and then I'm gonna put a clip here. And I'll do the same thing right here. Bring this one over to this one. And I might add another. I'm going to add another here. And another here. And again, it's 3 on the back, just like 3 on the front. Okay, that's done. Now going up to the top here. These aren't really pleats, but I just want to make sure that the fabric knows it needs to tip just a tad up there. So I'm just pulling the fabric over the pin very slightly, and I'm going to put a clip right there and do the same thing on this one, and then kind of just flatten it down how it would be pressed. So that's what that is like right there. And then I'm going to take the same patterning and do that on this side. I'm going to take this one away and bring in the front piece. And I already started with this one too, but I'm going to do the other side now. I'm going to skip over the process again and come back when it's done. I'm not as concerned in the back as I am in the front. I just took my ruler and measured to make sure that these are even. So I just measured from the edge here over, and then make sure that it's the same amount of space from this pleat to this pleat on both sides, and it's right. So everything's looking good. This part still needs to be taken in, so my plan is to make a straight stitch down in the back of this so that a seam forms here. And now I'm just going to bring in my waistband pieces, and what I'm going to do here, I figured out what I want to do, and I'm going to make another piece of this. This is the front waistband, and I'm going to make another piece for the back waistband, and on one of them I'm going to iron some interfacing in here because I want the waist to be a little more stable, hoping that this maintains the stretchiness, because I found that on the interfacing, if I pull this way, it's stiff. If I pull this way, it stretches. So I'm gonna iron on interfacing going this way. So I'll just put a piece here and then cut another piece and attach it there. And I'm gonna do that for both of these. And then I'm gonna have another piece of the same material for each of these. And I'm gonna sandwich the layers in between. So when I have the other one of this, one is gonna be interfaced, one is not going to be interfaced. And then I'm gonna sew a basting stitch across here first to hold the pleats in place, and then I'm gonna put this like in between there, because clearly I said that I only wanted to interface one piece. I was only supposed to do one, but maybe this is all meant to be, because maybe it needs that much structure in that middle section. I want to make sure my core is held together, but we're gonna go with it because it's not too bad, and I can feel it can still kind of pull if I have to squeeze through. So let's just go and see what happens. I don't see much of a difference in the needles, but let's just do what it says. Yeah, there's a couple of more things I forgot that I bought at Hobby Lobby that I didn't show. Did I show this thread? I can't remember if I showed the thread or not. But I got this gray thread. It's polyester, 100% polyester. That's the recommendation for stretchy fabric. And then I also got these zippers. I got a navy blue one, and then I got this gray zipper. I kind of got this gray zipper to go with this, just in case, but obviously that's not the right one. So I have these 22-inch zippers, so I'll just save those for another project. Should I change the thread from black to this? I think I'm just going to work with the black thread. All right, so I'm going to do the basting stitches now. I'm kind of nervous, but let's try it out. So I'm going to make it a zigzag stitch. So I think all the stitches should be zigzag even with this needle. I don't know. Stitch length 4, width stays at 0. Needle position, of course, in the middle. And then tension, I'm putting it at a 2. So far, it's looking right. I think. Okay, I think it was successful. This needs to be flattened out some, and I'm not going to need to iron it, at least not now. Everything looks fine once it's smoothed out across the top. Looks good. And then I'll come in and do this middle line. Got these top pieces hand sewed in on the top of the back bodice piece and the front one. And now it's time to connect everything. This is the part I've been waiting for. All right, so yeah, let's see if this is gonna work. Obviously we're testing it out. So this is one of the back waistband pieces, and this is the other one. And what I'm gonna do is, like I said, sandwich it in. So I'm gonna put this one facing this way. This is of course the inside of the back piece, and I'm going to Yes, this way I think is right. Try to put it as much in the middle as I can so that the edges are aligned. So the waistband is a little bit longer than the piece itself, which is good because I want to be able to trim it if I need to. And I'm just going to bring that up to the edge right there, and I'm going to clip it. Thinking the best thing to do is do one piece at a time because I'm going to put one on this side and one on the other side. I'm going to sew this straight across, and then I will come back and do the other side. Okay, that doesn't look bad at all, does it? We're gonna copy that same thing now for the outside. So let's flip it this way because this one is gonna be on this side. Right, let's test it out. It looks pretty good to me. So before I even do the front panel, I'm going to do the skirt the same way. Here it is. This is the skirt, the back skirt piece. Okay, and here is the waist. So I'm going to attach it like this, right sides together. And I'm going to clip and sew it the same way so that when this flips down, we have the waistband in the middle, like that. Everything I'm doing here with the back panels, I'm going to do all the same steps on the front. It's all sewed up. Looks good there. Now I'm going to just iron it because I want to flatten it down. Make sure everything is nice and smooth. And flatten this down with the iron. And then when it reaches down here, I'm going to do the overlocker, the serger. And just go along this whole line. I might as well line this one up because this one is a little bit different. It is the same process, but it's slightly different because this has that little dip. We'll try to find the middle. So let's do that and work our way out. Good on the other side. Connect the front and back pieces by the shoulder seams and kind of get a feel of how it's going to look. Okay, just putting right sides together and attaching it at the shoulder. Okay, and doing the same thing on the other side. Shoulder seams are attached. All right, I'm gonna try it on, see where the side seams need to be, and then I'm gonna sew it straight down on the sides. Okay, so I do have the dress on, and I used pins on the side to determine how much I need to take it in at the waist. I'm a little nervous because again, I have to get in and out of it without a zipper so far, and I'm just gonna sew it down. I didn't want to show this process because the reveal needs to be an actual reveal, so I'm not gonna give away too much of the dress, but it is looking good. If I was putting in a zipper, I would make this tighter at the waist, but since I'm trying to avoid a zipper, I'm gonna loosen it just a little bit and then go from there. So it's, as you can see, it's not looking too bad. I still have to do the binding. Dresses like this could kind of look nightgownish or robe-ish, kind of like an elegant style robe, but you gotta like dress it up. So I'm already seeing it as a kind of like a robe. But yeah, I'm gonna update the sides now, and I'm just gonna take everything in, and I'll show you where I put the pins, and then I'll have to try it on again to make sure everything is in its proper place. But this is pretty much the end of it, so I'm just gonna show you those last little pieces, and then we'll be on to the reveal. So thanks so much for being here. Thanks for watching, and head over to Lady Bird Designer's channel if you want to get the full pattern details and make your own dress. So here are where the pins are, and I'm basically taking it in the same amount that I added on, kinda, sorta. But I feel like it's best to do it this way because now at least everything lines up. So I'm gonna, when I do the seams attaching, this is like where the bottom of the sleeve would be. When I'm attaching it here, I'm just gonna start closer to the edge, and then I'm just gonna bring the seam in, and then down. And instead of doing the bias tape around the sleeve end, I just did a double rolled hem. And then I'll come back and show you how I'm doing the binding around the neckline.